Hey guys, how's it going? My name is LYHME, and today I'm going to be showing you guys around Rocket Mod. Let's begin. The first step what you guys are going to want to do is head over to your guys' server directory. From being there, you guys are going to want to check if Rocket Mod's installed. In this case, I do. It's right there. If you guys don't have that installed, if there's nothing in this folder, what we're going to want to do is head over to head over to our extras folder, go ahead and copy this, and then go ahead and go back to modules and paste it in. We can replace it. And bam, it is installed. We can go ahead and start our server. Upon it being started, go ahead, save, shut down. From there, what we're going to want to do is head back to Unturned. We're going to want to go to servers, server, and now Rocket. Now, this may look a bit spooky of like, LYHME, I'm super nervous. What does this all mean? I got you. This is where you can call like add-ons for your plugins. If when you have when you use MySQL, you go ahead, you put the MySQL like different files in here to be able to allow MySQL to work on your server. Quite simple. From there, this is logs. You guys can check what commands people are typing. If there's an argument and you need to see what's being said, it's all logged in this file. It's quite useful. I'd highly suggest checking it out when you get the chance. From there, what we're going to want to go ahead is plugins. When we want to pump out our server and make it look super duper cool and make it unique, we're going to put our plugins here. Now we're going to go through each of one of these files. For commands, config.xml. This is where we can turn on commands, turn off commands. We can even rename commands. So in this case, let's say we want to go ahead and we want to rename God. We can call it LYHME if we want to. Bam, /LYHME instead of God. If you guys don't even want the God command and you're like, hey, I don't want that to be abused, you can go ahead and turn that off. This is where you guys can do that. So if you ever have like in the future of like, hey, a feature's not working, like a command's not working, you guys can always double check. In this case, you guys can see here, help is turned off. And then if we can go down, because of Rocket over replaced it. So let's say if we want to use this one, what we can do is go make this false, and then this true, and then this one will be in use. Quite simple stuff. Now we're going to skip over our permissions file. I'll probably do that in another tutorial of teaching you guys how to configure that. From here, let's head over to our Rocket config. We can set up auto shutdown. We can set up web configurations, web permissions, language code, and our max frames. So what I'm going to go ahead and suggest you guys could do for Archon, you guys can enable this to be true. From there, I would suggest setting a secure port. So if you guys can, whatever you guys choose, be sure to open that. I'm not going to be teaching you guys how to port forward. You can just replace the change me with something more secure. Leave that to be true, and you guys can change both this to 1 and this to 1 if you'd like to, and then you can leave that to true. From there, what we're going to want to do is now for, let's say we want our server to auto reboot. In this case, we can use Rocket Mod, or we don't have to. And in this case, I personally don't use this. I use a script for my server to reboot every 6 hours. And so instead of using this, if you're wanting to use this, I would suggest checking out your guys' commands.dat. And this one will come with warnings, so I think it's shut down. And then 3600, that's in seconds, so that's an hour and 4 seconds, and then that will come with like alerts letting your guys, like players, know of, hey, the server's going to reboot, instead of this system here. It doesn't really help. It just shuts down and you're like, wait, what? This one actually gives you your players heads up. Web configurations, that can be down to a later tutorial. I personally don't use it. I used it in the past, but I personally don't. I'd leave that false. Web permissions, if you guys adventure out to more servers, I'd highly suggest it's super useful, and I can teach that down the road. If you guys are interested, leave a comment down below. English code, or language code, you guys can go ahead and leave that EN if you guys are English speaking. If you guys are not, you guys can change that. I personally English speaking, so I'm not really sure what the other ones are. For max frames, I would go ahead and change from 60 to 120. We're going to go ahead and do that and save it. Now let's head back over to our translation. So let's say we're not an English speaking server. This is where we can really configure it into be a different language if we choose to, or really customize it how we see fit. And so we can go ahead and we can add a prefix. So we can name this like Rocket if we'd like to. You guys can really like evolve and make this unique to how you guys want it. So you guys definitely want to have this here. So in this case, it's a Rocket space, the player's name, and then connected to the server. You can add an exclamation mark. I would suggest not using this type of quote. I would instead suggest using these ones. They're smaller, and it's going to be able to help not break the XML format. You guys can go ahead and tweak that if you guys would like to. From there, let's go ahead and let's check out a rocket.unturned.xml or config.xml. Now this is where Rocket Observatory. I believe Rocket Observatory is not really around anymore. Thus, it's just we just have these options. Before it was like a global ban if they had this enabled, but now it's just been shrink down to these things. So if we want to limit limited accounts, we can do that. So if the person's account is limited, meaning if they haven't spent $5 or added $5 to their account, they're not going to be able to join your server. I personally don't. If you have a PvP server, I would highly possibly suggest it to be able to keep the hackers down. So you can go ahead and change that to be true or false. Completely your choice. Kick for if the account's too young. You can do that. And so I'm not 100% sure. I think this is in seconds, and so however long. So you can possibly just leave that the same. For auto-saving, I would highly suggest going in and changing from like 30 minutes, because that's absolutely insane, is to just down to 120. So that every 2 minutes, the server can save. If we want to do player validation, I personally don't use it. I don't really fully understand this format, so you guys can leave that to be true or false. Completely your choice. If you guys want to log player suspicious movements, you guys can either change that to be true or false. It's not really going to hurt anything. It's just going to add additional lines to your guys' rocket.log. From there, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to skip past these things, as I don't really fully understand them, because like I get what they mean, but there's no like option down below of like item blacklist, and then like it's down the road you'll understand, but right now I've never used it, so I don't fully understand it. You definitely can configure this if you'd like to, or you can just leave it to 10. Now, this is going to be another translation file. You're going to notice there's going to be a lot of translations file of owning an Unturned server. This is where you can really make things fun of evolving things, so you can really make things look really, really cool. And so in this case, you guys can go ahead, instead of invalid parameter, you can make it say invalid param, whatever you guys want. That's completely your guys' choice, wherever you guys see fit. So you guys can go ahead, customize this to where you guys are liking. If you don't even want this to be like say their name, you can do someone was healed or someone was successfully healed. It's completely your choice. So that's a brief overview of Rocket Mod. In the future, I'm going to be going ahead and teach you guys how to edit this. For right now, I'm not going to be able to teach you guys that. Hope this was helpful. Catch you guys later. Peace.